I wouldn't have been here were it not for some statements made on the national media which directly affects me. Mr. Salah is our spokesperson. He addresses matters and issues concerning the coalition and the transition team. But I will be doing disservice to myself if I do not come here and to disabuse the minds of your delegation as well as the minds of everyone who listened to the broadcast yesterday. They heard His Excellency the President say, the leader of the opposition, he is a lawyer. He said he will not take permission to go out on a demonstration, that he killed somebody here, cut him into pieces. The evidence was before the court here. And the Commonwealth interfered because the judge was a Commonwealth appointed judge. And I'm sorry to say, Mr. President has misled everybody. That is misinformation. The judge who presided over that case was Honorable Justice A.S. Tahir, whose services were made available to the government of the Gambia by the government of Nigeria. He was on technical assistance. He was not a judge who was appointed by the Commonwealth. And the then Director of Public Prosecution, a very able man, who later became Chief Justice of this country, partly conducted the prosecution until when he was elevated to the Court of Appeal, and other counsel conducted the case. The evidence was so poor that no judge would listen to it. And how can you have somebody cut into pieces and you exhibit that in court? That beats anybody's imagination. But I want to disabuse your minds that we are not men of violence. I have never been violent. I have never been violent, and I hope I will never be violent. But I also do not accept allegations made against me that are fabricated, that are misleading. The courts are here. Everyone has his day. The prosecution has a right to appeal any case. And the judges will determine the case on the strength of the evidence adduced in the lower court. That was not done. Now, I think it is a disservice to those Nigerian judges who have given excellent service to this country to really say that there was interference with them. I mean, I hear Mr. President Waifo say that you are not being judgmental, but yesterday I thought that some of the statements were judgmental. That look, you cannot say this about the judges. You cannot say that about the judges. But he sat there and said something about the judges, because that the international press was saying something about the judges, which was not right. Yes, that's not right. But he sat there and was saying something impinging on the integrity of the judges. I would have thought that that would have been appropriate to say, Mr. President, we are condemning the international press for really taking on judges in this manner. You, as the guardian, the fountain of justice in the Gambia, you ought not to make this type of statements about a judge, whose decisions you may not be happy about. For us, or for me in person, for the judge not to acquit me, was not his desire. What he wanted was for him to convict him. We have heard him say that after the execution, that look, somebody was acquitted, and this judge, if he was convicted, he would have been the first to go to the gallows. He said so on television. He said so on television. And I did not expect that your political opponent, you really wish him to be taken to the gallows. I did go out on demonstration, and I have said in the past that I will not apply for permit to hold a meeting, because that is constitutionally guaranteed. My right to hold meetings is constitutionally guaranteed. But since the law provides that I cannot use a public address system without obtaining a permit for the use of the public address system, I always apply to the Inspector General of Police to grant me permission to use a public address system at our meetings. I don't ask for meetings. And I said I will never ask permission to hold a meeting, but I'll always ask permission to hold meetings at which I will use a public address system. Because there's a distinction using permission to use a public address system and permission to hold a meeting. You know? And I insist on that. When we were stopped some months ago, I said, when we are denied permit to use a public address system, I went on with a meeting, to hold a meeting, and I was arrested. And that is why they've been using that. I said we will hold meetings without a permit. That is not true. Yeah? And, what led to my imprisonment, and again, I had some chat with you outside, to show my disappointment because I did tell the Director of Public Prosecution that he was misusing the law. He was putting the law into improper use. That is why in my allocutus that was never delivered, I made references to the Benthamite philosophy of maximizing the greatest happiness of the greatest number, you know, and that the Marxist theory that the law is in the hands of the governors to be used as an instrument of oppression, and that is what is happening here. You know? One of my supporters was arrested, which the government has every right to do. If you suspected to have committed an offense, they have every right to do so. Yeah? And he was taken away, and then in detention he died. How he died, we don't know. And we went out and said, give him to us, dead or alive. That is my offense. And I went out because I know that you have authorities from the Privy Council, from the Supreme Court of Nigeria, from the Court of Appeal in Nigeria, which you are quite au fait with, All Nigeria People's Party, that you do not need permission to go out to demonstrate. Justice Okeke made it quite clear. So what offense have I committed? But he has left me with the impression that this is what I said, meaning that I have gone out to break the law. And I would have thought that at least somebody would say, look, Mr. President, Mr. Darboe has that right to do. Sorry. Yeah? But the issue, why I'm saying this, because I have been projected as being a person who is non-compliant with the law. And that is certainly not the case. I have always been compliant with the law. If I have not been, this country would have been in chaos long ago, since 1996. I could have put this country into finance, but no. I have no second home. This is my home. The stability of this country is in my best interest. If I want to carry on with my law practice, effectively, I have to do it in an atmosphere of tranquility and stability. And I have absolutely no reason, and I have absolutely no intention of destabilizing this country. And I think this is my first opportunity. I have opportunity to make this public statement, and I hope that in future, when there is need to talk about matters affecting the opposition or the political parties, no reference is made to this, because it really hurts me. It puts me in bad light, and in bad light because I do not have the same medium that he has. GRTS should be here. You had television coverage, both television and radio. We do not have here. We do not have one here. You know? And I just want to add one or two things to me, what Mr. Salah said. Look, when the president made that accepting the defeat, he specifically said, you've defeated me by 18,000 votes. And IEC has, in the second time, certified the 18,000 votes as being his majority. So what's the problem about? And of course, they have presented a petition. You as lawyers, you know, you cannot set aside a winning candidate's election without him being a party to the proceedings. He's not a party. He's not a party. Yeah? How can you do that? And then you want to bring a court to declare those elections null and void. And the same time, in the same petition, you want to declare yourself to be the winner. I mean, these contradictions, these are legal, but then, as Mr. Salah says, we are not parties to the action, and we can never be parties to the action because the limitation period has gone. You cannot amend anything. I'm proffering that unsolicited legal advice. You cannot. Oh yes. You cannot amend, when the limitation period has passed in order to create an action. Certainly. If Mr. Barrow had been a party from the beginning, and then you now want to regularize your reliefs, maybe you can do something about it. But he's never been a party to the proceeding. It's been more than a month and a half. I don't know which judge, will really declare his elections null and void. And I think you probably have the opportunity to meet Mr. President again or his Attorney General and tell them that really, from the legal position, Mr. President and Mr. President-elect should work together as Gambians for a smooth transition. That is what they should do.